Hi there. Welcome everyone. Welcome to this week's yoga session. Today we're going to be looking at the skeletal system, so looking at all of our amazing bones and what they do. Let's come and start though how we always start, by coming and just having a few breaths with the chime and just taking a moment to centre and notice our body. So let's come to have a sense of our sit bones. So sit bones, which are really part of our pelvis. Maybe if you move a little bit, you can have a sense of these bony sit bones that connect down to the ground. And then having a sense of your spine, our backbone, our spine lengthening towards the sky, and the skull, our head, just perched on top of the spine. Hands, arms, shoulders, just resting on the knees or in the lap. So just coming for a moment to maybe gently close your eyes, and we'll come and breathe in 3 times with the chime. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. One last time, breathing in and breathing out. So let's come and put this aside, and let's come to do our warm-up. So today we're going to do a joint warm-up. So let's come onto our hands and knees, and we're going to start on our hands and knees in our cat and cow. So let's just come to our seated mountain for a moment. So all our bones connect together, and the places where they connect are called joints. And our backbone, our spine, is made up of 33 vertebrae. And these are bones that all connect to each other. So let's come and see if we can have a sense of warming these up. So we're just going to come first to have, we can tuck our toes, we're going to lift our collarbones and the tailbone. We're creating this curve, and then we're going to come the other way into our angry cat, arching through the upper back, letting the shoulder blades move away from each other, coming forwards and back. And we can do this with our breath, and we can have a sense of our spine, which goes all the way from our tailbone all the way up to our skull, coming to have a sense of this moving. And our spine, even though we call it a spinal column, is not straight at all. It has curves in it naturally. And just having a sense of your spine moving. We'll have a little bit of a chat about our spine again later in the class. So warming up the joints of our spine. And then let's come and tuck our toes under. We'll let the hips come back towards the heels. We're going to lift up the knees and just unfold into our downward dog, coming and bending and straightening, coming into our knee joints a little bit here, and our feet and our ankles. We're going to walk the feet forwards, and again from here we're going to keep the knees really bent, and we're going to roll up through the spine. So let the head and the neck be loose as well, and the hands, keeping the knees bent, pushing from the feet, just gently coming up, and the head and the shoulders are going to come up last. We're kind of uncurling the spine again, uncurling the body. Coming up to standing, taking a moment to notice how it feels to be upright in our mountain, and we're going to come and start with our toe joints. So let's come and we're going to come and stand on our toes, kind of put some pressure onto our toes, like we were going to come onto our tiptoes. In fact, we could come onto our tiptoes. Do it that way, tiptoes, and then from here we can't do the. We're going to fold our toes over. We can't come and do standing on that both ways. Sorry, I've got some noise going on in the background on my computer. Let me just come and lock the screen so that's not going to be annoying. Apologies for that. Let's come back. So let's come and we're going to take the toes and fold them over. So we're going to just do this on one foot and just come onto the outside of our toes, not putting too much pressure on, just a little, explore. Definitely not putting too much weight on this, but just noticing when we bend the toes the other way, how that feels along the front of the foot. Okay, and then we're going to come and balance. So we take our hands to our hips. We're going to come into our ankle, circling our ankle one way and then the other. Just again noticing your range of motion in your joints. So our joints all move, help us move. So it's really important that we keep them nice and healthy. We want our joints to be able to move and to be able to move easily so that we can stay nice and mobile. Okay, and then from here, our knees, we're going to come and bend our knees down, bring our hands just above our knees, trying to keep our feet flat on the floor. We're going to come and find some circles. So we're coming up and down, again, having this sense of the knee joint one way and then going in the other direction. So our joints, a lot of our joints have a fluid in them called synovial fluid coming up now to the hip joint where the femur bone attaches into the hip. We're going to come and circle around there. So we're going to come and open up. So we have synovial fluid in the joints, and then let's go the other way. And when we come and do movements like this, we're keeping the fluid healthy and moving. And let's come and do the other side. And that's really important for the joint. So, yeah. Okay, and then we've done our spine. Let's come and do our hips a little bit. We can take our feet a little bit wider and we can just come and circle through our hips, our pelvis. Oh, again, we can have this sense of the pelvis connecting to the lower back. And have our hands on our hips and we can feel them moving. So this can sometimes feel really nice if you've been sitting for a while, just coming into finding some movement in the pelvis. And you can do really big circles like I'm doing, or you can do smaller circles as well. Just notice what feels okay in your body. And then let's come up to our shoulder girdle here. So our shoulder joint. Our shoulders are the most mobile joint in the body. I'm just going to come have a little bend in the knees. And here I've got my hands on my shoulders and I'm just going to circle my elbows. And you can see my arms have got a really big range of motion. They can circle all the way around. So my shoulder joints have the most movement. That's what it means when I say the most mobile. Okay, and then let's come also, we can lift our shoulder joints up and lower them down. We can have this sense of our shoulder blades on our backs moving up and down. So, and then let's come and we can bring our arms out and sort of find these circles, find some big circles. We can go the other way. So really coming in, feeling your shoulder joints. There we go. And then let's bring our arms out front of us. We've got the palms facing towards the ceiling. We're going to come and touch our shoulders. So we've got our elbow joints there moving, and then let's come and turn the palms to face downwards, and we're going to come and say stop and then let our palms, we're coming into our wrist joints here, up and down, and we can circle them all around as well. So we've got lots of joints in our hands and our feet, like our fingers, just like our toes. And let's come and squeeze our fingers in and stretch them out, and we're going to open and close, getting into the joints and the fingers. And then let's come and interlace the fingers. Okay, so we're interlacing the fingers, and then we're going to push it out through the hands, and try and push out through the hands before you extend the arms out. So pushing out through the hands, really getting a nice push out through the hands, and then letting the arms come out. Oh, I'm bringing the hands up and open, and then giving everything a little shake. Now there is one bone in the body that doesn't connect to another bone, doesn't have any joints, and it's called the hyoid bone, and it's here in our throat, and it assists us with talking. So it's just kind of below the chin and around the larynx. So we've also got quite a lot of cartilage here, so I'm not exactly sure exactly where it is, but it's kind of in the shape of a horseshoe, and it's the one joint that doesn't have one bone that doesn't have a joint. So let's come and just give our neck a little bit of attention, going from side to side, very slowly and mindfully. So this is also great for our vertebrae, our cervical vertebrae, they're called, the vertebrae in your neck, the cervical vertebrae. And out of your spine, your cervical vertebrae has the most range of motion as well. It can move the most. So we can come and circle our head all around, but we just do it kind of nice and carefully, slowly and mindfully. And then let's come to this final joint, our jaw. So again, I've often spoken about how quite often we have a lot of tension around here from talking a lot, from eating. Sometimes we clench our jaw in our sleep or when we're a bit stressed out or cross. So let's come and do some circles with our joint, with our jaw. And then the other way. Just wiggling it from side to side. You can even give it a little massage. Great. So just noticing how you feel after that. We've put a little bit of space into all our joints. And this can actually feel really kind of nice in the body. So when our joints become sort of tense, it's not so great for our nervous system. And so even when we're doing our yoga poses, it's always, we never want to lock out through our joints. So when I say lock out through our joints, it means, let's come and I'm going to show you, and we're going to come to our sun salutation in a moment. So for instance, in our downward dog, let's come and put our hands down, tuck our toes, let the hips come back, lift the knees and unfold. If I was locking out through my legs, I'd be pushing back through my knees, so really pushing my knees out. And I don't really want to do that because it's not good for my knee joints, okay? So it's not really that important to have straight legs, or to, some people, you know, talk about bringing the heels down to the floor. That's not really important if it makes you lock out through your knees. It's better that you keep a little bend in your knees. That's much healthier for your joints. And then also in our elbow joints, if we're in all fours, for instance, on cat-cow, again, a tendency might be to really push out through our elbows and really kind of try and keep our arms as straight as possible. It's much better to have a little bend in the elbows. Again, this kind of involves strengthening around the muscles a little bit, and it's much, much healthier for the joints. So we try not to lock out our joints, just keeping a little micro bend in them, whatever we're doing. Okay, let's lift up our knees, come back to our downward dog. We'll walk our feet forwards, and we're going to come and roll up, and we're going to come and just do our sun salutation. Okay, so let's come to the top of our mat, and if you're not practicing on a mat, just making sure you've got space to step back behind you. We're going to come and breathe in and bring the hands in front of our hearts. Breathing out. Breathing in, bringing our arms up, and breathing out, folding all the way forwards. Breathing in, stepping back with the right foot, and then from here, we're going to hold our breath and step into our plank. So again, just noticing your elbows, and breathing out, we're lowering down, lowering the body down. Breathing in, we're coming into our baby cobra. We're going to lift our hands, keep the feet connected down, breathe in, lift the chest using the muscles on either side of the spine. Breathing out, bringing the hands down, pushing back through our child pose and coming up into our downward dog. We can take a breath here and just come and bend and straighten the knee, the legs. Walking out our dog, having the fingers nicely spread. Breathing in, we're going to step forward with the right foot, and breathing out, the left foot comes to meet. Breathing in, taking the arms nice and wide, coming all the way up. Breathing out, hands in front of the heart. Let's come and do that one more time on the other side. Completing that sun salutation. So, breathing out. Breathing in, arms come up. Breathing out, folding forwards. Breathing in, stepping back with the left foot, lowering the knee down. We're in that lunge. And then holding the breath, we're going to come back into our plank. From here, breathing out, lowering the knees, lowering the body down. Breathing in, coming into that baby cobra. Breathing out, coming back through our child pose into our downward dog. And breathing in and out here. Again, we can just come and bend and straighten through the legs. And then the next time you're breathing in, we're going to step forward with the left foot. Breathing out the right. Breathing in, coming all the way up. And breathing out, hands in front of the heart. Yeah, just coming to take a moment now in our mountain pose. Just noticing how your body feels. So we didn't go too fast in the sun salutation, so you may not feel too hot or too out of breath. But let's come and do a little breathing anyhow. Let's come and, what breath shall we do? Let's come and do our large flower. So we're going to put the heels of the hands together. Going to bring the fingertips together. We're going to breathe in, opening up the fingers. Breathe out, closing. Breathing in and breathing out. A little bit like a clam as well, this could be. Breathing in and breathing out. Which brings me nicely to my next part. So, we might think, yes, skeletons, most animals have skeletons, we have skeletons, but actually only 2% of all of the animals in the world have skeletons like we do. So our vertebrates, and being a vertebrate means that you have a backbone. So only 2%, 98% of animals don't have a skeleton. So they're invertebrates, and they're things like insects and mollusks and worms and spiders, things like that. So 98% of the animals are invertebrates, which is quite amazing. We're going to come and beat a jellyfish. So that's a really obvious invertebrate. Obviously, jellyfish don't have skeletons. They're all sort of jellyish and floppy, and they don't need a skeleton. It's not sort of necessary for them to function. So let's come and shake a little bit like jelly. Shaking, I imagine we've got jellyfish tentacles. Just imagining what would it be like to be jelly. You come and shake your face, shaking everything, legs and arms and body, shaking it all, and then just coming to pause again, just coming to notice how that feels. So jellyfish are very obviously don't have a skeleton, but some animals, some invertebrates have something called an exoskeleton, which is almost like they're wearing their skeleton on the outside. So we've got our skeleton definitely on the inside underneath our flesh, but let's come down through our squat. Some animals have an exoskeleton, and one of the animals I can think of that has an exoskeleton is a crab. So crabs are all hard on the outside and soft on the inside. So we're going to come and see if we can find our crab pose. So for our crab, we're going to come and put our feet flat down, our hands behind us. Now your fingers can be facing towards your feet, facing the other way, facing out to the side. Again, as we lift up our hips, just come and see what feels comfortable, what hand position feels comfortable for you. You can even come and try out a few. Notice which feels best for you. Mine are kind of nearly facing forward, but not quite. And then from our crab pose here, lifting up, so sometimes called this tabletop, we're going to see if we can sideways walk like a crab. Ooh, I'm coming closer. Trying to keep the hips nice and high as you walk like a crab, and then lowering down. So yes, we've got all these animals that don't even have a skeleton. Spiders, earthworms. What other animals can you think of that don't have skeletons? So, but humans, we have a skeleton, and an adult has 206 bones in their body. And half of those bones, over half of those bones, are in the hands and the feet. And let's just come with our hands to give our feet a little bit of a massage. So, and just to have a sense of the bones. So the hands and the feet are actually laid out quite similarly in structure. And as we were talking before, when we were warming up our joints, let's just come and massage on the sole of the foot with our thumbs. When we create space in our joints, it's actually really nice for our nervous system. And so massaging our feet can be quite calming and soothing, because we're kind of creating a little bit of space in the joints of our feet. And especially for our feet, they can get a bit tight because they're in shoes a lot of the time of the day. Okay, so, and sometimes they're in shoes that aren't really that well shaped for our feet, not really foot shaped shoes. They're shoes that maybe squash the toes together. So we want to be in foot shaped shoes, and we want to let our feet joints, the joints in our feet, find some space. So what we're going to do to find space between our toe joints is we're going to come and put our fingers in between our toes. Now you might try and do this, and at first it might seem like, oh, there's really not space for my fingers to go in between my toes. There's definitely not space. But trust me, there is. There is. And sometimes it takes like a few goes of doing this, or doing it for a few days, and then eventually you're able to get your fingers all the way in and create space in between your toes. Your toes definitely do have space between them. And let's come and we can squeeze our hands with our toes and we can squeeze our feet with our hands. So we can kind of come and hold hands with our toes and hold hands with our hands. There we go. And then just coming to circle around the foot there, one way and the other. And then releasing and just looking at that foot that you've just done the toes on. Maybe you can even see there's a little bit more space between the toes. Let's come and do the other side. And remember, one side might be quite different to the other. Now this can also be quite difficult if you're wearing a ring on your hand. It can be quite difficult, so you might want to not have a ring on your hand if you're doing that. And then from here, again, we can squeeze our hands with our toes, squeeze our toes. So we're just also activating the muscles in our toes and just feeling all the bones and the joints in our toes and in our feet. Coming to circle a little bit, one way and the other way, and then again releasing. Okay, so half of our bones and joints are in our hands and feet. 206 bones, but do you know what? Babies have up to 300 bones. Babies have up to 300 bones. Let's come and do our happy baby pose. So let's come and roll down on our back. And you might be thinking, well, how do babies have that many more bones than adults? So for our happy baby, you can hold on to the outside of your feet, or you can hold on to your ankles, and we can come and be a happy baby. Just rolling from side to side, maybe coming, extending one leg and then the other. Just feeling like we're nicely opening up through the hips. Hold on to your feet. Again, you can give your feet a little bit more of a massage from here. So the reason that babies have so many more bones is not that we lose any bones or babies have extra arms and legs. Let's come and rock up to sitting. It's that when babies are born, their bones are really quite soft, and their bones aren't all joined together yet. So for instance, their head, their skull, if you feel your skull, and maybe if you've seen a skull in a skeleton, it's one solid thing, isn't it? It's one solid thing. But a baby's skull isn't quite solid. And when babies are born, just here on the crown of their head, they've got an area called the fontanelle. And it's actually a little, kind of like a little hole in their head, basically. And it's really quite a clever design, because when babies are born, it means that their head can be a bit squished a bit more when they're going through the birth canal, so they're able to be born more easily. And that's basically true of when they're, when babies are born, they don't need to be able to get up and stand like some animals do, so their bones don't need to already be hardened, so it's almost easier for them to be a little bit soft and squishy. Babies are so nice and soft and squishy, and as they get older, their bones will come to harden, and we'll come on to that in a moment. But let's come and do a pose called our hair pose, right? And we're going to come and give a little bit of attention to this top part of our head. So we're going to tuck our toes under, and then we're going to come and put our head down really close to our knees, and we're going to hold on. I'm going to hold on to my feet, put my head down, my forehead down, just close to my knees, and then from here, I'm just going to roll onto the crown of my head, holding onto my feet and rolling back. So we're not putting tons of pressure. It's like, again, a little massage from your forehead to the top of your head. And it should also feel quite nice on your neck. And we're stretching out a little bit through the soles of the feet too, getting into those toe joints again. Okay. And then let's come and place the hands down, untuck the toes, and come up into our seated mountain. So yeah, as babies grow and drink milk and eat more, their bones will start to harden and start to fuse together. So our bones are hard on the outside. Bones are a really excellent design because they're really tough and strong, but they're really light. And the way this happens is that the outer layer is really strong. The outer layer, let's come into our strong plank. Again, remembering we're not locking out through the joints though. So pushing out through your feet. Your legs might be a little bit more locked here rather than bending down, but that's okay because we're not putting our weight through the bottom of our feet. So nice and strong in your plank, and we can imagine that this strong pose is a little bit like the outside layer. Let's come and lower that down. It's a little bit like the outside layer of our bone. And the outside layer of our bone is made up of calcium and minerals, which make the outside of the bone really hard and sort of tough. Okay, and that's why it's important to get lots of calcium. And one of the main sources of calcium that we know of is milk, but also in lots of green vegetables, you get lots of calcium, and there's calcium in lots of other things as well. So if you're vegan, for instance, and don't drink milk, you can get calcium in lots of other ways as well. Okay, so, and then under that really hard layer, there is a more porous layer. And what porous means is that it means there's a lot more air and space in between. It's not like a solid, dense layer. So porous means that air and liquid can pass through. And basically, this next layer of bone has lots of beams and struts going up. So we can imagine there's lots of beams and struts. We're going to come and make these beams and struts with our hands and our feet. We come and wobble here, so there's spaces in between, but actually these beams and struts also make it quite strong. So the next layer of bone has this kind of design where there's space, but there's also beams and struts, creating a sort of strong bone. So maybe we can feel here, when we're making these beams and struts, so that we can feel the strength in our own bodies. And then at the centre of some bones is a really soft part. You can come and find our nice soft bellies, a little bit at our centre. And in some bones, well, this soft part is called the bone marrow. And in some bones, the bone marrow is red. And in the bones where the bone marrow is red, it creates red blood cells. So let's come and last week we looked at our circulation system, and we did a little bit of massaging just to help our blood circulation. So let's imagine from our belly coming to massage all the way down our legs, up our back a little bit, around the chest and down our arms. Just getting a little bit of blood flowing, and just gently around the face. So, and one bone makes up to 5 billion red blood cells a day. And in adults, 50% of their bones make red blood cells, have red bone marrow. So bones are pretty amazing. They make our red blood cells and white blood cells, not just red blood cells, white blood cells as well. So they're part of our immune system as well as part of our circulatory system, as well as part of our skeletal system. So again, we can sort of start to see these crossovers that I was talking about the last few weeks. So let's come and cross over and do a little bit of a shoulder opener as well. We're going to come do our eagle arm. So we're going to take our right hand on top of our left, making that X. And then we're bringing our hands together. So you might be able to bring your hands together. You might not be able to bring your hands together. That's fine. They might just be like this. Doesn't matter if they're together or not. What we're going to do from here, I'll come and sit this way. We're going to take our elbows. So we don't want to just let our elbows come into our chest. We want to take our elbows up and away from the back. And from here, we're going to just go a little bit from side to side, opening in between our shoulder blades. So yeah, we can see how all these systems in our bodies cross over and work together. And let's uncross our arms, and we're going to cross over the other way, just giving our nice mobile shoulders a little bit of a wiggle. And then we're going to come and take the left arm on top, so we're making that X. We're going to come and find that cross again and have a sense of our shoulder blades. And this time, rather than going from side to side, again, we're lifting the elbows up and away. We're going to come up, lifting the elbows up. I'm going to come to the side so you can see better, and we'll come down. So we're going to lift up. So we're coming into our spine a little bit, lifting up and down. Now our spine, this brings me nicely into our neck section. Another function of our bones. So our bones give us structure, obviously. They help us kind of to stand and to move, especially our arms and our leg bones. But our bones are also protectors. So perhaps one of the obvious there's a few that are obvious, but our spinal cord, our vertebrae, actually protect our spinal cord. And our spinal cord is kind of like this long cord that comes out of our brain. So it's really like an extension of our brain that goes down our backs, and lots of nerves come out of it. And so it's really important that it's kept nice and safe. And our spinal cord protects that, basically. If you look at the diagram of our spinal cord, I can't really explain it without going into lots of detail, which would probably be a bit boring. But basically, it provides a kind of nice bony protection around our spinal cord and keeps it safe, okay? But also allows it to move and allows spinal fluid to go up and down. So keeping our spine really nice and healthy is very important for our spinal cord. Now, maybe more obvious protection that we can kind of think of, maybe the one that we first thought of, is our skull. Of course, our skull protects our brain. It's a bit like we've got a kind of permanent cycle helmet on, just to protect our soft, squidgy brain. And sometimes in yoga, we do poses like headstand. We're not going to do that today, because for headstand, it is really important, if we're going to come and do something like headstand, that actually we're not putting all the weight onto the head and through the neck, because that is really not good for our head and neck. We really need to be strong throughout the whole of the body, so that when we come into something like headstand, we're actually taking a lot of the weight through the upper body and the core. So we're going to come and do a preparation for headstand, which helps to strengthen the upper body. So it's called Dolphin. So we're going to come and do a couple of different variations. So we're going to come onto our knees, and we've done this in some other classes, and we're going to come and bring our hands together in front of us. So we've created a kind of a triangle, we've got our elbows going we've got our lower arms kind of creating this triangle in front of us. And so from here, we can tuck our toes under, and we've got our hands clasped together, and we can come and we're going to come just forwards and back, bringing our nose towards the mat. So letting the hips come forwards and back. And maybe you can really feel the muscles in your upper arms working around your shoulders. Okay, so this is really making your upper body nice and strong. Now we can carry on doing a few more dolphins like that, or if that felt kind of really kind of easy and okay, you can maybe come and try the next type of dolphin, where we lift up our knees, a little bit like being in a downward dog. So we're in a forearm downward dog. You can just stay here and just explore how that feels, being on your forearms. Or if that feels kind of okay, you can even come forward from here. So letting your hips come forward. And again, just noticing which muscles you're using. Having this sense of your skeleton supporting you, so being down on your lower arms, having a sense of the bones moving, lowering the knees down, and coming back for a moment to sitting. So our skull protects our brain, and our ribs protect our heart and our lungs. Okay, so our ribs, and we've got here the breastbone, which kind of is almost like a solid sort of plate which protects our heart, and then we've got the ribs going across the front and the back protecting our lungs. And so this part of our spine, which has the ribs coming off of it, is called the thoracic spine. And the thoracic spine doesn't have that much movement going forwards and back, so our neck can go really forwards and really back, and also our lower back, we can really hinge backwards and forwards. But with our middle back, there's not as much forward and backwards movement, which makes sense because we wouldn't really want to go too far forward and squash our heart and lungs and back. But what our thoracic spine, this middle part of our spine, is really good at doing, it's very good at twisting. So it's got a lot of twisting motion. So we're going to come and do something called thread the needle twist. I'll face this way. So what we're doing, I'll face this way first. Now, what we're doing is we're coming to our hands and knees. We're going to lift up. Now I'll come to this angle. I'm going to lift up my left arm, and then I'm going to thread it underneath my right arm. Threading it down, I'm going to bring the side of my face down to the floor. Then I'm going to let my right fingertips gently walk away, move away, and I've got this lovely twist in my thoracic spine. Breathing here. Bringing the right fingertips back, we're going to push down into the right hand to unthread the left hand, and then we're going to come and do the other side. So from our all fours position, we're lifting up now the right hand, so we can feel that we've got this rotation ability in our middle spine, coming to take that arm through, and we're going to walk the left fingertips away. So we're coming into this lovely spinal twist. So let's come and bring those left fingertips back, pushing down into the left hand, pushing up, and coming to our seated mountain. And we're just going to come and explore a little bit of breathing into our ribs. So finding the lower part of our rib cage. So maybe you can find your bottom ribs. And then we're going to come and place our hands on our bottom ribs, and we're going to have a sense of just breathing in to this the lowest part of our ribs. Breathing out, breathing in. And don't worry if you can't get a sense of the ribs moving. Breathing out. You can even put your hands also kind of on the back of your ribs. See if you can feel the back ribs expanding. And when we breathe down into the lower part of our ribs here and allow them to expand, it means we're breathing down into the lower part of our lungs, which means we're breathing nice and deeply. And it's a nice kind of calming type of breath. So, but if you're struggling to breathe down into the lower part of your lungs, don't worry, we don't ever want to force a breath. We don't want it to feel uncomfortable. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of practice, because we're quite used to breathing up in the top part of our chest. So it can just feel a little bit odd trying to come back into our back or down, and it just takes a little bit of practice. What we don't ever want to do is force the breath and for it to feel uncomfortable. Okay, so we always want our breathing to feel comfortable in our body. All right, so let's come now and find out about the largest and the smallest bone in our body. So the largest bone in our body, anyone got a guess? Yes, you're right. Some of you are right. It is our femur bone, our thigh bone. So let's come and bring our femur bone up. Let's come into this 90 degree. So we've got our femur bone going across here horizontally, and then we've got one going down perpendicular. So coming to have a sense of our long thigh bones. And what we're going to do, we're going to come and bring our hands down, and we're just going to come and let the hips come back and forward. So just coming to feel a bit of movement in our femurs here, pushing forwards and back, and then just coming to tuck that back toe under, and we're going to come and have a little bit of in our high lunge. And now we're up, we're going to come up, we're going to straighten, bring our hands up and then bend, straighten and bend. Okay, and then let's lower that back knee down and back to our kneeling, and we'll come and step the other foot forward. So again, just having a sense, finding your 90 degrees, your long perpendicular femur, your one going across, and then bringing the hands down, and let's just come and find a little bit of movement forwards and back, forwards and back, forwards and back, and then coming to tuck the toes under. Again, we're going to come find that lift. We're going to come and find our high lunge. So we've got a little bit of bend in that back knee. We're going to come and straighten up, arms up and straight, coming down, coming up and coming down. And then this time we're going to come up, bring our hands round, and we're going to keep our legs wide. And for our smallest bone is called the stirrup. And it's in our ear, and it's called a stirrup because it's shaped like a stirrup that you would use when you go horse riding. So we're going to come and do our horse pose. So let's come and bend our knees out. So again, we're going to have a sense of our biggest bone, our femurs coming to bend, and the muscles around them working, muscles around the back, around the front, as we come and ride our horses into our stirrup pose. Okay, and then let's come and heel toe the feet in. And we're going to come now, we're going to come a little bit closer, and we're going to come and do a little listening. So we've done this before in class where we've listened to the chime. I've played the chime. We're going to close the eyes, and we're just going to open them only when we can no longer hear the sound. Okay, so just coming to listen to the sound of the bowl with your ears. And I'm going to close my eyes too. I'm going to put it down here actually, so it's closer to the microphone, closer to you guys. I'm not sure how it will sound through the video, probably not as nice, but. So only opening your eyes when you no longer hear the bowl. Guessing I might have my eyes closed for a bit longer than you guys because the ball is right next to me. Okay, well let's come now to find our rest. So we're going to come and rest our bones now. So we've got a choice again. So let's come back onto our mats or wherever we're practicing. We're going to lower down, again using our rope. So our feet are flat on the floor, knees facing up, lowering down slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, coming all the way down. And then from here, you've got the choice. So coming into your constructive rest pose. Here we have this sense of the lower leg supported by the ankle joint, the femur supported by the hip joint, and the spine and the arms and the head supported by the ground. So this can be a really nice resting pose. Okay, or coming to try out Shavasana, where we've got our legs extended. So for some of us, this feels really lovely as well. But you can maybe notice the difference between the two. So it's sort of around the lower back. So when we're in this pose, our lower back gets a little bit more support. When we've got our legs out, you might feel the arch in our lumbar spine. They're the vertebrae at the bottom of our spine. The lumbar spine, you might feel that a little bit more. So just coming to rest in whichever pose feels comfortable for you. If you need to put on any socks or get a blanket, just pausing the video and doing that. And then coming to find your comfortable resting place. And just having a sense of allowing your body, allowing your bones to become really heavy. Almost as if they were sinking down into the ground. And just having some gratitude for the strength that our bones have and the protection that our bones give to the softer parts of our body. So just feeling this sense of strength within yourself and this sense of safety. So our bones give us this strong, grounded quality. They keep us stable and strong. And feeling some gratitude for all the blood cells, white blood cells, red blood cells that our bones create. So amazing. All the work that our bones do. So just having a sense again, a sense of wonder at the amazingness of your body and all the brilliant things it does. Often we think of bones as kind of hard and dry, like the bones maybe we see on a skeleton. But remember, our bones are alive. Our bones are strong and alive. And the way to keep them really healthy is to eat healthy food and to do lots of movement. Bones love to move. And it's what keeps them growing strongly as well. Lots of different types of movement, which actually children are best at doing, much better than adults. Running and jumping and climbing and stomping and all kinds of movements. Good for your bones. So from there, let's come and take a lengthening movement. Or let's come and stretch through our bones, creating space in all our joints. Or lengthening away, maybe moving one foot, one arm away, bringing our knees in. Bit of a hugging. All our bones in, bringing our feet down, letting the knees come over to the side, rolling up to seated. And just coming to take a moment in our seated position, coming to check in, notice how you feel. Notice how your bones feel. And let's come and bring our hands together and we'll come and say namaste to each other. Namaste, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that class and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.